welcome to Manchester's Blue. This is the unpopular opinion this week. You know me, I'm Chris. We're with Manchester's Blue's double Ds, Dan Halifax and Dan Feilden. There we go.
Thank you, lads.
How we doing?
Sound. I'm ready to argue my arse off.
That's quite a podcast for me then, by the looks of it. I'll put me out.
Yeah. Sounds like you've lost your arse from what you were saying earlier. So
let's not get back into that.
Anyway, this week, so we've moved on from managers, and we're now looking at Man City's youth system and whether it works or whether it doesn't work, whether there's issues. We've been discussing this quite a lot in the admin group. Me and Dave feel quite strongly about the youth setup. He's supposed to be joining us in a bit. Whether he'll turn up is we'll see. Well, hopefully he'll join us. What's your views, Feilden? What do you think about City's youth and the way it's been? Is it a business? Do we bring the players through? I mean, you've just got a little lad now, haven't you? Would you be happy if he signed up for City's youth academy?
To be honest with you, no. I'd be fuming in some retrospect because, I said to you lads last night, I'm sitting on the fence still, but I'm more edging towards it is just a prime business now, basically. We get these young lads in, and they're never really, Feilden in the past 10 years is probably the only main player that is he's not even established himself yet, has he? He's been on the frameworks for the past 3 years, and he's been touted as this next big thing, and he's still yet to really cement a place in the team properly. And other than him, who was the last City Academy product that really played a game in, game out for us?
Richards.
Exactly. When did he first start? What was it? 2000 mid noughties. Mid to late noughties, and we're a club that's spent millions. It would probably be up to about $1 billion in total of all costs on academy structure, and we only ever see him in the League Cups and stuff like that, bar Feilden and what have you. But it's definitely towards more business for me. But I don't even have an argument for that. It's just a business for me. There's no looking ahead to seeing like the likes of Garcia and Howard Bellis and Tommy Doyle coming in. Yes, they're all still very young, but we're not seeing any real snippets of them. We're seeing the odd game like Garcia. He played against. He played full minutes against somebody in the league, didn't he? And then we haven't seen him since. I don't know if it's Pep. I don't know if it's club. It's pushed way ahead, far away from being the football club I remember 10, 15 years ago in terms of youth. Yeah,
I've got to agree with you there. I mean, I know you mentioned like Taylor Howard-Bellis. Then I remember he played in the cup match, and he gets kind of slated because they were saying he was bullied by the League One, League Two player who he'd had a bit of a social media spat with. But then I think people forget he is young. It was one of his first major appearances, for a competitive first team match. Yes, he lost his man, but which how many times has Laporte lost a man or Fernandinho lost a man and goals conceded? He still went to the other end of the pitch and scored.
Yeah.
Which not many of our centre backs get goals on a regular basis. So, he's a young lad. He's not playing week in, week out with the big boys. It's different if you're playing with the EDS and the teams you're playing are pretty much your age. I know they have the what's the trophy called now? It used to be the Auto Windshield. It used to be the they change it every year, don't they? But that's a good idea, but it's not regular enough for them, I think, to be able to showcase their stuff. I don't know what you think.
Well, I went to the Scunny game where they got knocked out, the City's youth, in that cup you're on about. And he got absolutely bullied to death that game and all, right? And I'm not slating him because he does look like he's got something about him. He's got something, right? But this isn't like, I don't think City can risk playing him. And it's nothing against him personally.
No.
And he might be the next Maldini. But he's too lightweight now. He's not good enough at this minute. And this is my argument. This is my side of the unpopular opinion. That we're at a club now where we can't risk playing these young kids, even if they are going to be the next big thing. But, you said you didn't like the business side of it, Dan. And you wouldn't want your kid going to Man City's academy. Me, personally, I would, because, I've got a thing up here now of Premier League clubs and how much they've used their youth players this season. Bournemouth, not a great side. I haven't used one academy product this season. Wolves have used one, that Morgan White. Watford has used one for 100 minutes. Sheffield United's used 2 for 100 minutes combined. So, these are all Premier League clubs. Like Everton used 1. Villa used 1. Crystal Palace has used 1 on here. And it's Wilfred fucking Zaha. He fucked off to Man United. Do you know what I mean? So, it's breaking into a Premier League club, even at a lower team's level, is still hard to break into a club. But if Arjun got to Man City, one thing I know, he'd be advertised well and he'd probably get a move on. And in the reality, that is what young players are looking for, is to move on, get a career in it. Instead of going to Bournemouth, not getting fuck all, and then playing for Dog and Duck rest of your life.
I think the only argument on my side of that, and to your point, Nan, is I think we've had a bit of a history over the past couple of years of doing that, looking for the players that want to further the career at other clubs, but have failed that. Look at Patrick Roberts. He was supposed to be the next... Well, he was supposed to be what Jadon Sancho is now, basically. Yeah. And personally, for me, he's had too many career moves on loan from City. And I think it's just not having that permanent fixture and able to establish himself at a proper club and play for him. And no dig at Celtic, they're not really a proper club, let's put it that way. But not being able to make a name for himself. If he had stayed at Fulham, he was the same in fact, as Ryan Sessegnon for Fulham. If he didn't get that move to Spurs, he had a poor Premier League season when they first came up. None of the Fulham team had a good time. Patrick Roberts was running Fulham at the time before we signed him. And for me, he's a different kettle of fish. If he had stayed at Fulham, I still think he would have made a name for himself and maybe got a permanent move to someone else other than City. But it's just these moves are costing players for me. Like the Manu Garcia and Alex Garcia. Those two were supposed to be the next big midfielders as well. Where have they disappeared to now?
One of them's at a league championship Spanish side.
Manu Garcia is at Sporting Gijon.
Exactly.
And Alex is at Muskron.
But he's still part of City, isn't he? His parent club's still City, isn't he? So,
Manu's gone permanently. Alex is on loan, but yeah.
That's my argument, is we get fake news about him being the next big thing. And I reckon it is just a ploy to make money on him. I genuinely do. And looking at this list now, Chelsea have played 7 youth products this season. But is that because they're good enough, or is it because they couldn't sign anybody? Frank Lampard's thought, right, I want to give you all a chance. Now, I'm looking at this now. Callum Hudson-Odoi, I don't rate him in slightest.
No.
That Reece James got a bit, and that is it Fiacchio?
Fiacchi Tomori.
Yeah, I rate him. And Tammy Abraham. And Mount's not. There's some decent players on that list.
Mount, yeah.
But I don't think if they brought Frank Lampard in and they won't have a transfer ban, half of them aren't getting them in it. I'm telling you, because Frank Lampard had bought who he thought would improve the squad. He wouldn't have risked it on the youth.
No. But at the same time, the youth are doing the job. None of us thought Chelsea would be anywhere near the were in the league with the way everything's gone. You know, they sold a few players, especially Hazard. You know, but it's that toss-up, though, isn't it? You've got to risk it in some aspects to see what it's like. But it's like what you said, the bigger clubs can't risk it unless the hands are tied. Therefore, we never find out. So
what about the scum, then? Look, I mean, we mentioned this the other day, didn't we? They've just reached something like 1,000 consecutive league games where they have used at least one player from the academy setup.
I've got to say,
that's some doing.
Hats off to him, right? And I do think hats off to him. They've used 11 youth products this season. That's just in the Premier League. That's not including cups. That's just Premier League football. Now, is it just a token cap? Do you get what I mean? Are they just bringing... Should City start doing that maybe? Having Felix Nemecha on bench against, say, Norwich at home. And then after, if it's 4-5-0, bring him on for 5 minutes. And he's got a cap and it looks good on us. Or do you get what I'm saying?
Well, I'm just thinking at United off the top of my head at the minute. I mean, you probably have to include Jesse Lingard in that. Everybody knows he's shit. Even United fans know he's shit. But he's from their academy. He gets in the match. You've got Mason Greenwood, who's doing all right. You've got Marcus Rashford, who is doing all right. Pogba's back there. Well, he's not played, has he, properly for ages? But he's part of their academy. He's lighting things up. McTominay, he's doing the job. Who's their left back that they've had this season who's kind of broke through as well?
Brandon Williams,
he's done it. There's that Twamzib or whatever his name is. There's quite a few that are every week. They're not just a token, bring him off the bench, there's a cap, you look good. They're starting games and they're starting more than one. They're getting quite a few. You've got City. Yeah. How many times has Phil Foden been on the bench with 3 or 4-0 up? We're thinking, bring him on for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And yet 90 minutes is up and he's still sat there with his coat on. Yeah. That's happened a lot of times with City. You know, they have the players on the bench and he doesn't use them.
I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Maybe that is something we need to look at if you're listening, Pep Guardiola. But I will say this and all because I spoke to you about this other night. I love Foden and he's a decent player, but I just don't want to just buy in to Foden be the next big thing because he's a City fan and because he's come through our academy. What I've seen of him looks good, but what you mentioned, that fucking shit bastard Jesse Lingard earlier, he was the same. He looked a decent player when he was young, and he was going to be the next big thing. And now they're stuck with like a 27-year-old Jesse Lingard on loads of money. Nobody wants to buy him. Do you know what I mean?
Don't lie, you'd have him at City.
There was that stat on Facebook, wasn't there? Something like in the last 5 seasons, Adam Johnson's got more goals and more assists than Jesse Lingard, and he spent it in the nick.
Yeah, exactly.
It just shows, you know.
But that's what I get not worried about. But that is what puts me off this whole. I love a youth. I loved Richards, but I look at some youth players that we used to play when we needed to. Like, no, he's got a decent career for him. So but Bradley Wright Phillips, fuck it, he should never been coming on for us in the Premier League. I know he scored for his debut, but do you know what I mean? That he should not have been. I look to. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I made a few lists. Like last night, I had some time at work, and I've made lists of specific seasons since 98-99. So when we got relegated to Division 2, you know, City fans who were there at the time, they saw the likes of Rosler and Kincladze getting sold because we needed the money. We were literally left with the decrepit and the fresh out of nappies. That was what we had. We had children and pensioners that we had to go off. We had no wage, but we didn't have money to buy players, and they got the job done. You know, we progressed like that. And like I remember, if you think like Sean Wright Phillips when he came onto the scene with Joe Royal and like with Keegan, I don't even at that age. I was a City fan, and I was all hyped up. This is a great player, but I don't remember much in the media. Everyone saying he's the next big thing. He's going to be England superstar. He made it into the England squad, and I remember him score. He came on for Beckham, scored a goal, and Ian Wright was doing the commentary, and he went absolutely mental, as you can imagine, with these lads. Yeah. But it was the same with like Mika Richards. He was a belting player for us, centre back, right back. He scored against Villa. He was a corker, but no one said he was going to be the next John Terry or the next anything. The only player I can remember from those days that there was hype about was Nicky Weaver, and that went straight to his head. He ended up as a pisshead, and it all fell apart.
As well, though, didn't he?
There was the injuries, and there was the lack of. I mean, Paul Bogger, he got a baptism of fire when we got into the Premier League with Joe Royle, because he was used to having the most clean sheets to getting net rash. Yeah. But I honestly I think the biggest problem at the minute is the hype that surrounds players. I mean, Phil Foden, I've seen the maturity in him. I haven't seen in a player for a long, long time, and I do think he is gonna be that good. Fingers crossed. He doesn't look like the media particularly affects him. But for a lot of players, it really does. And it's to me, it's why England have never succeeded. Apart from the whole fact of the England squad are usually built up of players that can't stand each other during the week when they're playing for the league clubs. That it's always the hype, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And they're setting them up for failure before they even get there. Jesse Lingard was the same. And we've had players like that. I mean, Joe, he came in with so much promise. And that was shit. But like I said, I've made lists. So 98, 99, we had 8 players that season from the youth academy that all made at least one first team play. And I mean, I'm looking down the list. You have like Nicholas Fenton, Richard Edgill, Michael Brown, the Whitley brothers. They all played a lot of games. They were regular. And we had 2 players, both under the age of 21, that we'd bought in from another club. That's 10 players in your first team every week. And then it carried on, even in 2008, 2009 with Mark Hughes. We used 11 youth players that season. All played more than 2 or 3 games. You had some like Mika Richards and Stevie Ireland, Shaw Wright Phillips, Ched Evans, who were getting regular games. But there was like Kelvin Atuo and Kasper Schmeichel, who were also getting a couple of games. And then you looked at this season, Phil Foden, Eric Garcia, and Taylor Howard-Bellis are the only youth players we've used. They've all played more than one. Well, they've all got more than one appearance, but they've not been playing every week. And yet we've got 4 players that we've bought in under 21. You got like Sterling, Zinchenko, Jesus, and Sane. They were all bought before they were 21 years old, and they're all now in that. But it seems like we just buy players rather than use what we've got. And it's, people saying it's a business. Do either of you two think it's a successful business that we've got with the youth system? Because that's what it is. I'm sure we can all agree that we don't use our youth players as much as we should or as much as we could. But do you think it's a successful business plan that we've got in place?
Well, yeah, I personally do. And I'm not just doing it just to argue with you.
No, okay.
You look at somebody like that, him at Celtic, Nicham, centre midfielder.
Oh, yeah.
Oliver Nicham, yeah.
Right. So he came to our youth on a free when he was like 15 or whatever. Did a bit of youth. Sent him on loan to Italy for 2 seasons. He was coming back. We sold him Celtic for 6 million. So that's 6 million in our bank for nothing. Plus, there were probably some sort of loan fee. We were probably paying 50% of his wages or something. So really, it's money in the bank. And like when we sign these other like players, the thing is like we can go down a list now of players who were never going to make it in Premier League. There's hundreds of them. Like, is it Greg Cunningham who played left back under Sven and then went to, and now he's in non-league or whatever, right? So there's tons, but then there's other players that you think, well, why did we let him go? Like that Karim Rekik, do you remember him?
Karim Rekic.
Yeah, Karim Rekic. Marseille.
Played a few games, looked the biz, and then we sold him for $5 million. And now at the time, what the fuck we doing? Jason Denyer, what do we get rid of him for? He's playing a decent level. But on the other side, it's like players, I mean, no disrespect to Inacio, but we absolutely robbed Leicester blind for 25 million for him. And that other kid I was talking to you about, is it Endless Unler? We signed him for $1 million and sell him for 14 with a chance to buy him back for 20 in 5 years. You're absolutely laughing.
What do you think, Feilden?
Your sound's gone down.
That's just, yeah. That was just a combination of clicks, farts, and winks.
No.
Nah.
His microphone's gone, hasn't it?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, right, yeah. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Back again.
Cracking. Right. Where was I? Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Business. In terms of business side of things, it's successful. It's making money. That in terms of a business, that's what a business is supposed to do. If it's not making money, it's failed. In terms of football, it's a massive failure on City's part. You know, we if it was, go back to Sean Wright-Phillips. If we had a Sean Wright-Phillips come from our youth academy now, and he played first team football, and he played well in first team football, you know, we're talking about, he won Young Player of the Year 4 years on the trot. He was brilliant, and we sold him to Chelsea for 21 million. 21 million for nothing. That's like Dan said, made 14 million on whoever it was. He said, you know, that's a hell of a lot of money even back in them days, and yet we still played him. You know, he made a name for himself at City, and other clubs wanted him because he made a name for himself from our youth academy. Stephen Ireland, personally, I think he, you know, albeit it was a player swap with Milner, he should have gone for a hell of a lot more. That's one of the biggest failings of our youth academy back then. But if we've spent so much money on building this infrastructure, surely we've got to be getting some players playing regular football for City. You know, the actual City. I don't mean loaning out to like New York City or Melbourne or, you know, Girona primarily. I mean, play for the actual first team Man City. You know, it's what you aspire to do. If you're going to join a club youth system, you want to try and force your way into the first team. Foden's the only one that seems to be doing that. Whether he starts on a regular basis when Silva leaves is a different matter. But in terms of the football aspects, I think it's a huge failure.
But if you were a player, right?
I wish. Bloody hell, I could do with the money.
No, but that's it. Unfortunately, none of us have ever been pro. But in my eyes, if I were pro and I were at Man City and I looked at the first team, I'd be thinking, who am I going? If I'm a midfielder, centre midfielder, who am I going to be better than? Who am I? That's my starting 11 place. Am I going to be better than World Cup winner Gundogan? Rodri, the ice signing, David Silva, City legend, Kevin De Bruyne. Then you've got Phil Foden in front of me. Do you know what I mean? You can't just say, break him
out of that list. I'm not being funny. Out of that list, I was listening to you then. I was thinking, right, Gundogan, he's shit and boring. I've got more drugs than that. Rodri, yeah, he'll get in there, but he's defensive mid. I play more centre attacking mid. De Bruyne, he's first choice, but he also has an injury record. Silva's retiring, and Foden doesn't seem to get a place regardless of how good he is. So on that, I'm starting.
And Bernardo.
He's had a bad season. He's had a bit of bad press, and so yeah, I'd fancy my chances though.
If that's
left mid next to Kevin De Bruyne, I'll be sorted.
Yeah.
If that's the case, though, obviously we've had a hell of a lot of problems with centre backs. We've seen plenty of Garcia. Why is he not starting all the time?
Well,
you can tell me if you were Garcia and the shite of Otamendi was getting ahead of you, and we've had to bring in Fernandinho from another position into centre back. despite every game I've seen Garcia play, he's not had a bad game. He's had a really good game every game.
Tanked onto it. I mean, I agree with you with that, but that is my only. I don't slag Pep off like Chris does, but my only downside to
he's not
Guardiola is why he's not played Garcia in that position is beyond me. The only defence I have is that he looked at Otamendi and Stones and thought these two are having a shitter this season. I'm not letting Garcia get a bad quality from him. And that hurt me to say Sir John Stones were having a shitter then, by the way.
Hey, you got some comments for that.
I see it as it's almost the Macken conundrum again. I mean, we had John Macken on the other week, didn't we? And he was on about that last game with Pierce. And you've got a striker there who scored some big goals, and you bring on David James instead to try and get you a goal to get you into Europe. We've got, Eric Garcia, he's been a captain at the U team. You see him when he comes into the first team. He's quite a commander. He don't give a shit who he's playing with. If they're out of position, he'll give them a rollicking, which is what I like about it. That's what I think makes him stand out more than most. You've got to be pissed off if you think, right, okay, so I've got my chance because Laporte's injured and the others aren't doing too well. Oh, hold on a minute. No, he's going to drop a 30-odd-year-old defensive midfielder into my spot instead. It's a kick in the bollocks for him.
I mean, I can think of a few games that Garcia and Nico's played together, even when we got 100 points. It were away in League Cup against Leicester, and it were Otamendi and Garcia at back, and they played brilliant together.
They had a cracking game.
But it's like we say, I don't know what the fuck's going on there. And that is a good point to your argument. But, like I say, he might be doing something in training that's not working and he just thinks he's not ready. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot happening behind the scenes that obviously we're not accustomed to. But if you were to think of one youth player out on loan primarily right now, would you both be in the same boat to say there's only one player that could really potentially fight for a place if he came back to City, and that's Jack Harrison?
I'd say no.
So I honestly think he can. We are seriously lacking in depth for the left wing. He's playing for Leeds, yes, in Championship, and Leeds, they have a good 3 quarters of a season and then decide to turn into bloody Derby County of the Premier League era, and just have a calamity. But Harrison, he just has it turned on every game, and that's what Pep likes. He likes energy, and we brought him through our youth, albeit through the New York City Academy in retrospect. But I think he's probably the only one, bar Foden and Garcia, that could potentially make a name for himself, in a position that's lacking. And if Sane goes, a new player's going to have to come in and find his feet. Why not bring Harrison back, an English lad who's played in English football, albeit not in the Premier League? He could make a name for himself.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Dan. And I think Leeds can buy him for 20 million. I might be wrong. So unless they activate that clause, he'll be coming back pre-season with us, and then that is when we're going to find out. But looking at youth, when I've watched the youth team, the EDS and that, and it's not very often, the only player that stands out to me is, I've gone on about it loads of times, is Felix Nemecha. He looks the fucking shit, right? And I mean, I don't know everything, right? But I watch that and I think he's head and shoulders above everybody else. I mean, when I sit next to Tommy Doyle and that, and I was like, he's a better player in my eyes. But he don't get a sniff. He's made his appearance against Burton when we beat him 9-0. Came on in the next leg, didn't he? But I think that's going to be a player. If I were him, I'd be thinking, I am going to move on. Another player who were at that Burton game and heard good things is at Brighton now, that Taylor Richards. I was a bit disappointed when I heard he left because everything I'd seen of him looked good. He looked a bit, Torre-esque, big commanding centre midfielder. But we're always going to say, "Oh, wish we didn't get rid of him. Wish we didn't get rid of him," aren't we?
I think that's it.
youth academy aside, he's one we should never have got rid of. But no, every club has it, don't they? You're absolutely right. You know,
and then I think there's also players that we're going to say, why did we keep him?
Yeah.
I mean, you were saying about players we got on loan. I was looking at my list here. I'd have Muric back instead of Bravo as number 2 goalkeeper.
That's Stefan.
Yeah,
Stefan. He's not staying where he is. I know he's not quite youth, but I mean, just looking at the youth, I mean, Muric, he did all right last year. He showed quite a lot of promise in the League Cup, and I think he's better than Bravo. Bravo's a top spot at best. And I think Angelino as well. Angelino, I think he really didn't get his chance. I felt sorry for that guy. He just looks like he's been messed about.
I think he'll be coming back.
Yeah.
I hope he does. I hope he comes back, and I hope he shows pep up, because to me, the way he's been treated, it's like you've just been dumped by your girlfriend. You think, right, I'm going to get her back by going out with someone, just getting a random who's into you, who'd do anything for you, and you're just using them. You're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to commit to them. You're just using them to try and boost the others, and it's a shame. I think he's all right.
With Angelino, he's saying all the right thing in press, which makes me think it's not that we've shit on him, but he agreed the move was better for him. Like he's not going, fucking that ball prick let me down and fuck me about. He's saying, I'm still a Man City player. When this loan ends, I'm going back to Man City and I'm fighting for my place. So that is what you want to wear in it.
Yeah,
that is what you want to wear. Yeah.
And when he were coming through youth academy, everybody was talking about him, weren't they? I mean, not many left backs score hat-tricks on a weekly basis like Angelino did.
Well, we had a decent set of fullbacks at the time, Angelino being one of them, but Pablo Maffeo, you pronounce his name. He's
at Stuttgart now, living it up, isn't
he? He's sort of making a name for himself. Yeah, he's first choice, I think.
Bundesliga, yeah.
I know he's at Stuttgart, but I thought he were bloody in reserves there. I thought he'd never kicked on his career for Barcelona.
No, he's one at regulars. He's a really good player for them. But German football, isn't it? It's not what it used to be.
We got 15 million for him, though, didn't we?
Yeah. That's what I mean, though. The business side of it, we're bang on the business side of it, but the players side of it, you know, if he's business playing very well,
how much did you? I take it you both agree that we've made a profit on players, then, say, over the last 10 years, youth players.
Yeah. What do you mean? To outweigh what we've played out, or
yeah? So basically, I spent nearly 2 hours doing the numbers last night, and it was tedious and hard work. Basically, so all the under 21 players, as long as they were 21 and they've made a first team appearance, I've included it. How much do you reckon we've made profit on those players since 2011, 2000? So when we won the league, all those players.
I'm not going that high, right? Because we've made money on players that have never made an appearance as well, such as that unlad Netcham and all them. So I'm going to say we've not made as much as I'm making out. I don't know.
80 million. Sorry.
45.5 million.
Well, it was bloody close, wasn't it? Freaking hell.
I mean, out of all those players, I mean, we spent over 100 million on those players. And I'm looking at the list of the ones that we've actually got rid of. You got players like Kasper Schmeichel. He was free from our youth academy. He went on to get a bloody Premier League winners medal. You know, he's not shite. Again, you've got other players. Stefan Savic, he's become good. Brahim Diaz, he's getting appearances at Real Madrid. I know he's not first team regular there, but he's basically Madrid's version of Feilden.
Yeah, but I think really with that Diaz, that was a good deal for us. Well, it's 28 million. And it was 28 million, and if he goes to Man United, they've got to pay an extra 15%.
Yeah, they have to pay as well, don't they?
That's mint, that. Do that with everybody.
To be fair, with Savic, though, we can both agree he was one that we wish we'd gotten rid of sooner. Because, I mean, I remember that game he played against Liverpool. He was playing for Liverpool, really, wasn't he? He was shite.
How much did he go for?
He was a swap deal. He went to Fiorentina and we got Nastasic.
That ain't a bad deal.
So we actually swapped him and paid for Nastasic because that's all City ever do. Swap plus money. But going back to what you were saying, Dan, about the like players on loan. Oh, come on in from Portland.
Now then, it's actually afternoon now.
Afternoon. Good afternoon.
Just. What did I miss?
Well, no arguments yet, would you believe?
I know, yeah. No fighting yet.
Even with Chris.
Not
Chris
even with me.
Not an argument yet.
I'm sure they'll both agree. I've been very well behaved today.
He has been well behaved.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
But to be honest, Dave, I think my points are just put him to bed. I'm going to be giving him a buckle and his blanket, and then.
Oh, if only I didn't have to go to work, that'd do me. Dan Feilden was just on about the players, Dave, who were on loan, who we could possibly bring back. He mentioned Jack Harrison, which I've got a mate I work with who's a big Leeds fan. It's a shame for him, really, but he has mentioned what impact Bielsa's had on Jack Harrison, and he has said he's a good player. And I think players like Jack Harrison, to me, are what we should be doing more, because if you go back to Joe Hart when he came through at City, he went to Birmingham on loan and was fucking phenomenal. He won Golden Glove at a team that had just been promoted, set for relegation. He played stunning because he was in an English club at a good level, Championship, Premier League. And I think that is where we are letting our youth system down. Whether it's going to be a business, and like you said, Halifax, about players coming in and you're putting them in the shop window saying, look, prove what you can do. Whether you want to do that or not, sending players on loan to Girona and bloody all these random clubs across Europe, it's going to do fuck all for them. They need to be, in my opinion, at English clubs, either Championship or like a newly promoted Premier League team that are going to use them and show, and it's a proper fight for them every week. I mean, we got Bersen Kalina went to Swansea City, and he only went for a couple of million. He got the chance to come back against City, and he shamed us that day. I know we won in the end. Bit of a dodgy decision with the penalty. But he was phenomenal, and he plays week in, week out for Swansea, and he's really good. And again, Harrison at Leeds United, he's doing a top job. Adarabio at Blackburn, he's doing a top job. This is where they need to be if they're going to improve. Whether it's their technical ability, whether they can fight for the first team, or whether it's just their market value. You're not going to get market value playing second, third tier Spain when you could get him much better value playing for second tier Premier League. And I mean, sort of linking in with that is looking at some of the players we've bought that we can't even use. Over the years, we've had some proper dodgy, like some of these. I think we had 3 Thai players who all signed, and a couple from.
Yeah, but that were fucking taxing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but then there was Douglas Luiz as well. It's like he was a player that we bought, and we had to sell him because we couldn't get the work permit for him. What a waste of money! What a waste of time and effort that was. Shame for the player. You know, it's worked out for him, but it's not really worked out for us.
We made 2 or 4 million on him, right? But we can buy him back for 3 seasons for 10 mil. He's got a 3-year contract at Villa, and we can buy him back for less than they paid us for him. So it's basically like they paid a loan fee.
But will he get a work permit though by then? That's the question. Is he going to get? Is he going to get the Brazil recognition playing for Villa?
Yeah. Just going back, Chris, I 100% agree with you that maybe some of these loans we're sending, like what's pointing a meant to be a decent player going on loan to a shit side in Holland. So you get what I mean? Like, what is that helping? Yeah. But if you were, like I said, like look at Patrick Roberts, went on loan to Norwich, didn't get a game, recalled him, and now he's on loan at Middlesbrough. Now, a Premier League player, a Premier League club, even a shit one, are not going to get a player on loan from City and risk playing them over a pro at their club. Same in like you said, how competitive Championship is. You've got to have some bollocks to risk playing a player. You know what I mean? Like some 18-year-old who's meant to be shit hot in EDS, getting him in, and then when you see him in training pitch, I'm thinking, fucking hell, he's going to melt. You're not going to risk him in the championship because, like you said, it's competitive, it's physical. The fans are all behind him. A lot of young lads would melt at that.
But that's it. It's like so. Roberts at Norwich City. Norwich City would have done some sort of research on, a bit of homework on him.
Yeah.
Why would you even bother going through the whole loan process, the loan fee, organising what percentage of wages you're going to play, if you're then just going to have him training with you every week? What a waste of time that is. It helps nobody. If anything, it just makes you look like a tit because you're just picking names out of a hat because you think, oh, he's got a bit of, they're coming from City, they must be good.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, I'm going to stick my neck out here. I'm going to guarantee this guy gets a first-team appearance with us, and it's DiMaggio Wright-Phillips, right?
Yeah.
I've seen good things of him, but why is he on loan to Blackburn's youth academy?
Yeah. Keep him with our youth academy instead.
Right. I've seen an interview with Sean Wright-Phillips. He's like, well, he's guaranteed game time there. What? If he's guaranteed to play against other kids, why not go League One?
Yeah.
Just risk
somewhere like
League One.
Send him a league down. I mean, Bolton was screaming for players at one point.
Yeah.
Bolton Wanderers, Crew Alexander, they like using youth players, and they do well using youth players. You use established teams like that rather than sending them, like you said, to fucking Red Lion Athletic in bloody Holland or somewhere stupid. I don't know what you think, Dave. I mean, what do you reckon?
Well, I don't think. How old's Jack Harrison now? 22.
He's about that. He's past 21 though.
I mean, he's just one of those players for him, unfortunately, who gets to go on pre-season every year with the first team, and then that's it. He's out of the door again every year, and he's never going to get in the City team for me ever. Because
it's not a bad deal, I suppose, is it? Son's seeing shagging on holiday for 3 weeks with City boys, and then you come home and then you're playing Championship football.
And again, I don't know what goes on, because if you look at those pre-seasons when Pep or whoever it is giving these young lads a chance, we've had some really good performances. Like Jack Harrison stands out, to be perfectly honest. He played really well. But that didn't seem to really make any difference, because as soon as they come back to Manchester, he's out anyway. Who's the young lad, the defensive midfielder, French lad who we got from PSG?
Claudio Gomez.
I mean, he came with such a huge reputation, and I watched him pre-season, played really well. And what happens as soon as it go back to Manchester, he's gone. Is he out on loan now, or is he back in EDS or something like that?
He's on loan to, yet again, another youth team in Holland. Yeah. He's like at PSV's second team. Like that, but that, Dave, that hits a nail on the head for me. He looked decent in them pre-season friendlies, but now he can't even get in youth team. And we've signed him from PSG as a big hype player. That is what I'm saying about it. I don't think what we're seeing is the true reflection. But then again, I sort of seen that with Zinchenko when he went to PSV and all that. I thought, fucking hell, he's never going to play for us. And then he's proved me wrong.
Yeah, fair play to Zinchenko. But I don't know. It seems to be the case that it's very, very, very difficult for any one of these players, however good they are, to break through. And I don't know if that is Pep. I don't know if that is the coaches. I don't know if that is the player themselves. But that's why we've seen in the last 10 years, who's broken through? Foden,
Richards,
Micah Richards, kind of. But apart from that, I'm struggling already. And, I've made the point so many times on our group chats that I don't mind if we have to spend the money, because we have the money. I get it. But I would wish we would take a little bit of a closer look at what we already have, rather than immediately going, right, let's go and spend 60, 70 million. If we need another defensive midfielder, we don't. But if we did, well, let's get all the information that we can on Claudio Gomez because you brought him from PSG for a reason. So
yeah, but I get what you're saying, Dave, but obviously they've had pre-season with him. He had a season at the EDS, and the EDS said, we don't even want him. Do you get what I mean? So
no, I'm completely agree with you, Dan. It's just seems this vicious circle right now that it's whatever they do, they're not going to get in the team. So why are we bringing them in the first place?
Well, you missed this earlier, Dave, and I'd like to get your input on it. But Bournemouth, right, has not played a single youth product all season. Not one person has come through their academy in Bournemouth team. Crystal Palace has played one all season, and it was Wilfried Zaha. That's it. So when you look at teams like that, who you think would need to rely on a player, a youth team coming through, and they're not even risking it, I think it's hard to say that we should be risking it when we're going for titles. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm old. But I really think there is a pretty decent percentage of City fans who would much prefer us to go a couple of seasons without winning a trophy, but blooding these potential brilliant players that we've got. I keep banging on about Garcia, in particular, but I think we've got other players there as well that I for one, I would love as a City fan to actually see them given an opportunity, even if we don't win a trophy, because I guarantee you, when the season starts or next season or whatever it is, if we give Garcia a starting berth and he plays 40 games for City next season, he will become a world beater. He'll be one of the best central defenders in the world in 2 or 3 years. But they need that. They need that experience. And if we don't give him it, if it's all about sending them to a second division Dutch club or, to Girona, to Chris's point or whatever, they're never going to get there. We're not giving them any opportunity to develop as players if we're sending them to crappy leagues around Europe or to MLS. Doesn't make any sense.
But what point do we just I've got high hopes for Garcia, similar to you. But at what point do you say, yeah, he's shit? He's had do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying Garcia will be, but let's take Gomez for instance. Like a lot of us City fans were calling out for him to be playing last season to give Fernandinho a bit of a break, get him on, and obviously he's had a shitter, hasn't he? So at what point do we say, like Gomez, we might hear about him again in 2 years when Barcelona signs him and he's a rate player, but how long do we wait for that rate player to come? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What would you do, Chris? Come on, you look pissed off. What would you do?
It's just going back to that point. You're saying like Bournemouth haven't used any youth players, and the shit teams at the bottom of the table and the mid-table teams aren't using them. But then I think the top Premier League teams do use them. We've mentioned United, Liverpool. They use some of their young players. Is it Gomez has come through and
it's Trent, though. It's Gomez and
Origi.
Yeah.
Origi. But again, yeah, but he was under 21, wasn't he, when he first started? That's because I'm just including, the ones who they're sort of bringing through. But again, Arsenal were. Look at what Wenger did. Yeah. They had their invincibles, and then all of a sudden they've got a shit with no money. All our big players are gone. Right, we'll just crack on with what we've got, and they were fine. Chelsea have done it. Yes, they've had to do it this season because they can't buy players, but they did well, and they knew that ban was coming in. They could have sorted out purchases beforehand. And again, you look around Europe, Bayern Munich, they use youth players. Dortmund do, Real Madrid do, Barcelona do. Yeah. Same in Italy. But the top teams do it. We have done it. When we were winning the league, we were doing it. Why can't we do it now?
But I think it comes back to if you're Bayern Munich and German league is competitive, but it's not like in Italy and all. There's shit teams. In Spain, there's proper shit teams. So Barcelona can blood players in, and that's no offense to them. But what is it? There's no Celta Vigos in Premier League.
Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking about in our group chat a couple of weeks ago. It's not going to happen, but how great would it be if the Football League was run like the Spanish League, where Manchester City had a team in the League One or League Two that couldn't get promoted, that they just stayed there. But it was our players, it was our younger players, and they got that opportunity to develop. To your point, Dan, in a tough league, I just think, and I bet Pep Guardiola said the same thing as well. That's an annoyance. He doesn't want all his players going to America and all over Europe and whatever. How great would it, that was his great thing at Barcelona, that, he came from managing Barcelona B, who were I think they were in the third tier of Spanish football. And, he was the one who brought Busquets and one other through into the first team for Barcelona. And I think the Football Association could really kind of take a leaf out of Spain's book and see this, that why don't we redevelop the league so we can have the Liverpools, United, the Cities, the Chelseas, etc., to have a second team in a lower league that doesn't get promoted.
But do you not think it just make a mockery of it? Do you know what I mean? If you were say a League One fan, would you not just think, fucking, what's point? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I won't like to take it away from the League One and that.
To be honest, I think some League One teams are like that anyway. In some respects, Dave. I mean, I remember at one time we had teams like Bury and Oldham and Rochdale who we used to regularly send players to. Crewe Alexander regularly. I mean, they're one of the few teams in that league that they sort of bob up between League One and League Two all the time. They make profit every season. They have some cracking players come through. They sell them and then bring more through. And that's all they do. They're never going to get promoted to Championship. They're just going to bob away in League One and League Two. But it's good football. They use the youth. They loan the few players. And that's how it should be. But I mean, I think... Go on.
I was going to say, am I right in thinking the FA did something about having feeder clubs? Didn't they bring something in to restrict sending so many players on loan to English clubs?
I think they did, yeah. Because at one point, that's like I said, that's what we had. We had agreements with teams, and then I think they started restricting it, like you can only send 2 players on long-term loan to the same club and things like that. Because otherwise, if you had a good batch, you could probably flood the team.
Yeah.
But I think one of the main problems is actually more the staff that we've got at City. I mean, if you think about it, you're getting our youth system is supposed to be picking the cream of the crop from all over the world. The Gomez, he's the next big thing, and this bloke's the next big thing, and he's the next big thing. So you're 16, 17 years old, you've signed your contract, you're happy as a pig in shit, and you turn up, and your new manager is this guy who, you say, well, what did you do as your career? Oh, I played in a final of the Division 2 playoff at Wembley. But he didn't even score. No disrespect to Gareth Taylor, but he was crap at City. He was, third choice behind Goater and Dickov. How is he going to handle these players? I mean, I follow Swansea. I remember Renato Sanchez turning up at Swansea on loan. He was the next big thing. He was this Bayern Munich player who's going to be everything. He was crap at Swansea, and it's like, he don't want to be there. the coaches are nothing special.
Yeah.
This is what me and Dave were saying. Why not? I mean, Paul Vinny, he's gone to Anderlecht and it's all falling apart. Get him back at City as a coach with the youth team. Him and Bellamy and Zaba, players that love the club. They know what it is to be a part of Manchester City and what Man City means to the fans and everything about it. They can educate the young players who are coming from all over the world. You know, like this Jan Couto who's going to be joining us. You know, he's a Brazilian lad. There's the one we've just signed from Venezuela, that Aguirre.
Yeah.
You know, they need proper educating. They need to be told what it was like 20 years ago when we were playing shit. And players like Vincent Kompany, he was there from the start of this transformation. Players like that should be at this club, and they shouldn't be buggering off to Anderlecht and West Ham and pissing about. No, get them back at our club. Get them back with the youth team. Bellamy can beef them up a bit, and I think that would be better because then young players will turn up and say, "Bloody hell, it's Vincent Kompany. I know you." Not, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Because I'm not being funny. I wouldn't probably recognise Gareth Taylor anymore. Like, who the fuck are you, mate? Are you Grounds, man?
Anyway, Gareth, if you'd like to come on pod, just give us a Oi, do you know what, Chris? I've just thought of this, right? And it's sort of going against everything I've said, but I'd like to look at the stats who were breaking through when Patrick Vieira was youth team manager and compare it to now, because I'm thinking now Denyer, Recky, all that was sort of his era, wasn't it? So
yeah, it was. Yeah,
I mean, what a guy to have as a youth team manager. I remember the time thinking, what a guy. Going to see Patrick Vieira. Of course, he nearly got Pogba to come to us, didn't he? Before he went to Juventus, he was trying to get him to come to us.
I'm glad he didn't, because Pogba's a tit. But like Dave was saying, Pep Guardiola. I mean, we've got Pep now. Everyone bangs on he's the best in the world. Blah blah blah. That's another opinion entirely. But where did he start, Dave? Barcelona B.
Barcelona B.
Pep Guardiola was Barcelona captain, I believe, for a good while. He's lifted trophies with them.
Yeah.
The Barcelona youngsters who are coming in think, Jesus Christ, I'm wearing the red and blue here. I've got UNICEF. I've made it. Who's my manager? It's the guy who was lifting the trophy a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I need new hankies. They're going to be well chuffed.
Yeah.
You know, that again, we've got, no disrespect, Gareth Taylor. It's a no-brainer, you know. Few caps for Wales, big chuff. The club's moved on. I think we need to, you know, that side of it, I think needs to move on as well. You've got all that infrastructure. You need the guys to be able to, you need the faces to go with it.
I think one of the main problems, though, is if with us wanting all these former great City players coming into the club, is the management. You know, Pep, he'll have his own, no matter where he goes. All top managers at top clubs now have them. Wherever a certain manager goes, the posse tends to follow. Don't they? Yeah. I chose my words correctly there, don't worry. They tend to go, you know, if you, Mourinho, especially, he had a full load of backroom staff that he brought from Porto. They followed him to Madrid and what have you. They all have their own team, in a sense, a separate management team. And I think that's the only thing that's stopping it. The only way we'd ever see any of these greats is if they're on one-to-one level, or they've played for him, like Vinny maybe has. You know, he's obviously played for Guardiola. That's the only way I could see it. If you're bringing in such as Vinny, if you're bringing in the Bellamys, if you're bringing in that sort of caliber and players, you don't know how they're going to work with a manager. It might be a complete catastrophe problem.
To me, though, I know what you're saying, Dan, but it seems like that the entourage that a manager brings tend to only be around the first team. You know, I know a lot of the time it's like, well, you've got your manager and your assistant manager who are like married, and then you've got a few of your coaches and stuff. But it tends to be, when it gets to the youth side of it, they tend to stick around a lot longer.
Yeah.
I mean, how long's Gareth Taylor been there now?
A few years now. I think 14, 15.
Danny on a good point there, though. I mean, I can't imagine Gareth Taylor opening a bottle of red thinking, just give Pep Guardiola a quick ring.
But that's the problem. How is someone like Gareth Taylor going to be able to turn around and say, Pep, listen, try this lad out. He's going to be the next thing. You're never going to get that. And that's the problem. If you're not going to get these former players in who know a player when they see him and say, look, this is City, this is what we've been through. I'll put a good word for you in with the manager, play your ass off, and he'll pick you. If we ain't got that, and we're not going to get that, it's an impossible task.
Yeah, I mean, I get Xabi Alonso.
Yeah,
you think Xabi Alonso done everything? Pep's fucking golden boy, Bayern and all that. So why not get somebody like him? Iniesta, I think he's just finishing his career in Japan, innit? Get him in. Get him in.
Xabi.
Get him in.
Love
Pirlo
at City as a coach. Yeah,
thought that Pirlo and Stavamore looking fit and smoking.
Hey, well, it worked for him.
here's the thing right now. If you really look at who are the City greats right now who are involved in the club in some way,
Gareth Taylor.
You can count them on two hands, and honestly, I think that's what we need to change. You've got Tony Buck, Mike Summerby, Colin Bell, who are they're ambassadors for the club. Paul Lake, and then you've got Micah and Jolien doing their little videos and on City TV, having a bit of a laugh with stuff like that. So that's 6. I can't think of anyone after that who's got
Edghill and Ian Bishop do. They're like ambassadors for the club as well, and Tommy Boo.
So all right, so we're up to 8. That's still less than 10, and all my point is, and you think about all these players that we've had who are legends of the club. Well, all right, Gota, he's another one, 9. All I'm saying is that I think that's the final piece of the jigsaw for Manchester City, that we've done so well to build this club that we're missing that final piece of bringing more back of the Mike Summerbys, of the Colin Bells, etc., who can give something back to the club. Because what I heard, Dan, from Colin Hendry was 3-4 weeks ago, he absolutely loves Manchester City. He never wanted to leave. Anyway, he's still got an affection for them. So why aren't we bringing back, in some capacity, a Premier League winner, full international, one of the best defenders the Premier League's ever seen? You're telling me he can't do a job for Manchester City Group in some way? And that's all I'm saying. There's a handful of players out there, and we've been so lucky over the last few weeks to talk to Hendry and Macken and Curl, who all just have this affection for the club. And I wish City would do more about bringing these players back in some capacity, who can help these younger players out. And to Chris's point, tell these young lads what it means to wear that blue shirt. Because Jason Wilcox and Gareth Taylor, I'm sorry, can't do that. They can't do it.
No.
Sorry, I'm going to say something now, and I'm going to get slated, but don't care. I'd bring James Milner back in a youth capacity.
I would love him
day
back
of the week. I'd have him back in the first team. Sod the youth capacity. I'd have him in the first team.
Yeah,
he can take penalties. He can play left back. He can play keeper. It don't matter. He can play anywhere.
I do think City is an open club to that. I've seen an interview with Shay Given a while ago, and he said he's seen, I want to butcher his name, Carl Mandoon, and he said to him, if you ever want to come back coaching, Shay, the door's always open for you. So, like you said, get him in. But if he don't want to do it, we can't just say, come on, ex-City legend, well, ex-Premier League legend, get in. Do you get what I mean?
Thing is, money talks, though, innit? Just throw the cash at the guy.
All I'm saying, Dan, is that, we have, 9 clubs now? Yeah. 9 clubs.
Yeah.
Talking to John Macken a couple of weeks ago, he is, he left Radcliffe Borough. He's got his coaching badges. He wants to get more involved. We've got 9 clubs. This is This is a player who made it very clear when me and Tom asked him, why did you leave Preston and come to City? Well, what do you mean? It's Manchester City. I'm a mank.
Yeah.
Again, it's that thing of why can't we find a position for a John Macken at New York City FC or at Girona or wherever.
Mumbai City.
Like someone who's got Manchester City in their heart and loves them, and then is wherever he is, you're then feeding back reports to Pep, or wherever the manager is. Say, hey, it's John Macken. I've been looking at this player, at New York City FC. You've got to come and take a closer look at him. That's all I'm saying. That why can't we bring in more and give him those positions around the world?
We've given Gareth Taylor a bit of slaver, but surely that he's in the same boat, ex-player. It's just like Chris was saying, he's not really that level that you'd think we need, but he is an ex-City player, and he's probably passionate about City if we spoke to him. When you come on Pod Gareth, we'll get me and Chris will interview you.
I think it's more it doesn't have to necessarily be like the best ex-City player, because again, Taylor wasn't. But I think it's more you have to have a status about it. Like you have to have been some sort of memorable player at City to understand what it. No, but I don't remember anybody getting a City shirt with Taylor on the back of it. What I mean? I mean, Richard Dunn. Richard Dunn didn't win anything at City, but he was captain for so many years. He was such a servant for the club. He was, he won like the Fans Player of the Year a couple of times. Gareth Taylor never kind of won that. Again, it's no disrespect to Gareth. I'm sure he's doing the best job that he can do, but I don't think anymore he's the man for the job that we need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was sat many years ago. It was Boxing Day. Forget what year it was. We beat Liverpool 2-1 at Etihad. I think the Beast got the winning goal. I got my seat through someone who I know at Manchester City, and I was sat next to Gerard Vikins. Lives in Holland, but had come over. We were having a chat during the game and whatever, and saying, he comes as often as he can, and again, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. These players who they've left, but they still have a love and affection for City, and I would just love more of those players to come back, whether that's at Manchester City Football Club in Manchester or that one of our other 8 clubs around the world. That if we're trying to build this Manchester City brand, which is my understanding is what we're trying to do, don't you want these fan favourites, these legends, these ex-City players who can actually tell Americans, the Dutch, Belgians, Chinese, all these players, we've got around the world, and tell them, this is Manchester City, lads. This is what I need to see from you.
You know what? I've just thought of another one, right? Paul Dickoff got Donny Roberts promoted, nearly kept him in Championship. Did all right. You're at Oldham. What Oldham you're at? He did all right there, other than financial issues. I mean, I listened to him the other day, and he was even paying wages when he was at Oldham. Why is he not in charge of our youth academy? Yeah. He's bloody swanning about, having a fucking beer and that in lounge. Why get him on there?
Because if it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't be where we are now.
No.
I mean, I don't know who it was who posted it the other day, the clip of that Wembley goal with the commentary dubbed over from the 93-20 moment, and it's amazing how similar the goals were.
Yeah.
But and you know what? I've watched it a couple of times now because it's on my news feed as I'm scrolling through. I watched it this morning before I went to bed, and I'm not joking. I remember looking at the faces in the crowd. It's like he shows Paul Dickoff and like the passion on his face, that famous knee slide, and then it was showing the crowd. And I was like, hold on a minute. And I looked back, I went onto YouTube, I checked the 93-20 goal. And I'm telling you now, there was more passion and emotion, like raw emotion, at that moment at Wembley in 99 than there was when Aguero put the ball in the back of the net. I promise you. You look at it, there was more, it meant more then. to the City fans than that league win did now.
Oh, I don't know.
I
honestly,
I'd cry my eyes out. I'd be shirt off on the law.
Hey, this is coming from it. I don't get me wrong. I was crying my eyes out when we won it as well. But just looking at it, and you just see what it meant to him at that moment then. And I totally agree with you that we should have him back. He's done a good job. He's a club legend. Get him back in. Give him a job.
No, yeah, but even experience. He has experienced proper football as a manager.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't know if Gareth Taylor's done that anywhere. If anybody knows,
can ask him when he comes in.
Anyone knows? Answers on a postcard.
Yeah.
I am getting a bit conscious of time, lads. I don't want Tom to be up all night trying to edit this. Has anyone got anything to add? Specifically?
No, I'm happy with that, lads.
Yeah.
Okay, one last thought for you. A quick answer. We all know that the 2-year Champions League ban is looming.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose worst case scenario is it's upheld and it means that top players don't want to come to City. They're all, we want to win stuff and we can't wait 2 years because 2 years is such a long time. Do you think then that City need a big push on the youth system in terms of not just getting the quality players there now, but getting quality players and like your Fodens, like your Gassiers, that are actually capable and competent enough of pushing for first team position next season? So no more players that are just, we'll bring them in, loan them out, flog them for a profit. Do you think we need more players that are knocking on the door of the first team week in, week out?
Not if the ban's upheld. There's absolutely no point whatsoever, in my opinion, doing that. And I honestly, Chris, keep coming back to this point over and over and over again. We don't know how long Pep's staying for. So my massive concern is, what if he's there only another year and he brought in players that he wants, and then we're going to get a new manager? I know you're hoping it's Nagelsmann, but has a completely different... No one has the same philosophy as Pep Guardiola when it comes to football. We know that. So whoever going to come in after Pep is going to change the way that we play football. So my concern is right now, if we know that Pep's only staying another year, maybe 2 years, why would we be spending 300-400 million on new players for him? I'd rather save that and bring our youth in, and then when the new manager comes in. So there's so much depending on, in my opinion, on even more so than this whole CAS ruling in a couple of weeks. How long have we got Pep for? Because until we know how long we've got Pep for, in my opinion, we can't make any other plans.
I think if the ban's upheld, we just go with youth. Do
it Chelsea.
Yeah, just risk it. Keep a few pros there, but such as Kevin De Bruyne, I mean, people slagged him off and slagged our opinion off. Me and Dave come up with that he does deserve. If it is banned, if we are banned, he does deserve to move on. He's been a good servant to club.
Yep.
Granted, we've been good to him, but why should he never win Champions League? He's such a good player, good guy. I'd let him move on, but I think if the ban's upheld, I think we just go with youth. But I do get what you're saying, Dave. But if you signed a decent young striker who's 19, who's got a load of potential, you signed him now for a year with Pep Guardiola, and there's definitely going to be players about that, no matter who you sign, are going to be decent in a year. Like, they've got a year to adjust with Guardiola, that whoever the manager is comes in, they'll be able to do a job for him. I do get what you mean, though. Don't be like signing 50 million on a 27-year-old that just does one thing that Pep likes. Get a bit of a all-rounder sort of players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't buy Mahrez, buy Haaland.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Dan?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be gutted, put it that way. I wouldn't, because my argument at the beginning of the thing. I think that's the business side of it's all good. It's the bringing the players into the first team that City have massively underachieved and failed on. For me, I've never ever, and I'm not just saying this because we've never won it and we could still be kicked out. I've never given a toss about the Champions League. Yes, players, senior players, big players, all want to win it. We're not players, we're fans. If for all the shit and heartache we've been through in the past God knows how many decades, what would you, hands down, 10 out of 10, always want to win, the league or the Champions League?
League.
You'd always choose the league, wouldn't you? I would be quite happy if we were still banned, which I personally don't think we will be. I think we'll get, because, we've had the likes of PSG and whatever go through the similar sort of things and have all had bans reduced. I don't think it'll be as bad as what the media and everyone makes out. We may be banned for, in some retrospect, we may have another massive fine. It don't matter. If we get banned, it's not the end of the world because we can bring that talent through eventually. Even if big players like De Bruyne leave, it means more regular, crucial first team for Foden. We're not going to end up being able to sign a world-class centre-back probably. Garcia can come in, maybe give Harwood Bellis a real knock at it. We can bring some of these youth products that are out on loan currently, such as your Gomez's, to get in the team and show what they're worth. And if they fail, they fail. But you don't know until you try. Like I said, look at Chelsea. Those lads are pulling the finger out their ass and saying, look, I want to be playing for full time. Frank Lampard's got a tough decision now when the transfer window comes. Does he want to get rid of Tammy Abraham? No. Does he want to get rid of Tamari? No. Does he want to swap Reece James? No. We should be like that with our infrastructure. And if we do get banned, I wouldn't be gutted, put it that way.
It'll be the other thing as well, lads. You know what's going to be like. Even if we win the Champions League, what are the dippers and rags going to turn around and say? Well, we've won 3, we've won 6. We're never going to win this argument. We're never going to win it. It's always going to be, but you've only got 1. So we can't win anyway. I'm very, very happy to. I think Dan summed it up nicely. Based on our history, aren't you pinching yourself already that we are basically best team in England? And we can prove that by our full trophy cabinet. I'm good with that. I'm totally happy with it.
Yeah. What do you reckon then, Chris?
The whole Kevin De Bruyne thing, I've mentioned it before. I think and it's not just him, if worst case scenario is that we are banned for 2 years and that is upheld, I think any player that then just turns around and says, right, that's it, I'm off, because they want to try and win the Champions League, I think tough. I would literally say, right, if you don't want to play for this club, you don't have to play, but you're not going nowhere else. You can sit and rot. Because I'm not being funny. It's 2 years. It's not the end of the world. De Bruyne's, he could still win. I mean, I think the example I used was Inter Milan when they won it with Mourinho. The team they had, they were all old. I mean, when I say old, I'm talking 35 plus, some of them. Age is literally just a number. Are you telling me that in 3 years' time, Kevin De Bruyne is still not going to be a world-class player playing at the top of his game? Of course he is. He's not just going to fall apart like that. Bollocks. Vincent Kompany, he was an old player. He won that goal he scored against Leicester last year. He showed up the likes of Aguero, who couldn't put it in the back of the net that match. He showed every other player up on the team exactly what he could do, and he went and won the league. That's what happens in football. And again, think of how many truly world-class great players didn't win the Champions League. Pele didn't win it. Yeah. But there's so many players who haven't won the Champions League. The Champions League is not the be-all and end-all of all football competitions. And I'm sorry, if we're banned for 2 years, fine. We've got 2 years to literally dominate English football, embarrass everybody, get the players in, and in that 3rd year, we will literally turn up and we'll just wipe the floor and say, you know what, UEFA? Fuck you.
I mean, you look at the squad. There's not going to be loads of players wanting to leave. Edison, he's not going to want to leave. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like Mendy. He won't want to leave. Laporte is only 25.
He's already said he's already said Dan he's not leaving.
He's here for the long haul. Yeah, that's what they should be.
Sterling, how do we feel about Sterling?
No, I don't want him to leave. Can I just ask, lads? I've got a wife. Have you all got partners at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've all got partners.
We've all got wives and wives, hopefully to be.
You've all got someone at home. I'm guessing you've probably been with them for a while. I know, Dave, you've been married for a good long while now.
2 decades.
Yeah. When things are going well, if you've got a comfortable home, you've got good jobs, you've got ample bit of money every month, everything's happy, life is easy, and it's fine, and you crack on. If all of a sudden times get a bit tough, like you lose your job or you lose your house or something bad happens, do you just think, right, fuck it, we're splitting up? No, you don't. You fight at it. You stick by each other and you do it together and you come out the other side bigger and better than before. And it's the same for Man City. We don't want those players that are just mercenaries that are here for the wages and the fame and the. You're playing for that. That's what you're fucking there for, and nothing else. Things get shit. Stick together.
I'll tell you what, that's another podcast though. Because I think more and more football is a mercenary game.
It is
compared to what it used to be. Like, I mean, when we had Ian Bishop on other day, he's passionate about every club he played for. That's the next pro you want. And he'd be another good one for you, for him. He'd teach him how to drink and all.
Yeah.
Right then, lads, are we going to wrap it up there?
I think that's it for today, guys.
I think we should.
Thanks, everybody, for joining.
All right.
For those listening, let's have your comments. Leave reviews. Let us know your thoughts. Am I just a daft fat wanker? Is Dave just enjoying himself in America too much? Let us know what you think. And we'll see you next week.
All right.
Stay tuned, guys. Stay safe.
City till we die.
Stay safe, boys.
See you later.
All the best.